If you watched my July payment update, you probably already know the basic payment dates. But today I want to talk about something that matters just as much, because knowing when your money arrives is only half the story. The other question is, are you actually receiving every benefit you're entitled to? And I don't mean that everyone watching this has thousands of dollars waiting for them. That's not what I'm saying. But your circumstances can change. Maybe you retired recently. Maybe your income is lower than it was a few years ago. Maybe your spouse's situation changed. Or maybe you simply haven't looked closely at your benefits in a long time. And that's where people can sometimes miss something important. So today, we're going to keep this simple. I'll walk you through the July payment dates you need to know, the change involving the GST/HST credit, and the new Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit. What to do if a payment is missing or looks different, and one simple check I think every Canadian senior should make. No complicated government language, no guessing, and no trying to make you feel like there's some secret check waiting for you. Just a straightforward look at what you should know. I'm David, your financial translator. So let's start with the dates. For July 2026, the scheduled payment date for CPP, OAS, and GIS is July 29th. That's an important date to keep in mind. But there's another July date that has caused some confusion. July 3rd. That's the scheduled date for the first Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit payment of the new July 2026 to June 2027 payment period. So, right away, we have two different dates, July 3rd and July 29th. They're connected to different benefits. That's worth remembering, because if you're waiting for one payment and checking your bank account based on the date of another, it's easy to think something has gone wrong when it hasn't. And there's another change you should know about. The GST/HST credit has been replaced by the Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit. The name has changed, but according to the information covered in this update, the basic eligibility, payment calculation, and structure remain the same. The benefit amount also increased by 25% for 5 years beginning in July 2026. So, if you previously received the GST/HST credit, it's worth paying attention to how this new benefit works. Now, those are the basic dates and the headline changes. But the part I really want to focus on is what happens when your own situation changes, because that's where your benefits can become a little more complicated. Part 2. Why your payment may change. One question I hear a lot is, why does my friend receive one amount while I receive something different? Or, why was my payment different this year? Usually, there's no single answer. Government benefits can depend on things like your income, your age, your marital status, and the programs you're eligible for. Let's take GIS as an example. The Guaranteed Income Supplement is an income-tested benefit for eligible low-income OAS recipients. So, naturally, the amount isn't going to be identical for everyone. Your personal circumstances matter, and those circumstances don't stay frozen in time. Maybe you worked last year but retired this year. Maybe your income dropped. Maybe your household situation changed. Maybe you got married, separated, or became widowed. Those are exactly the kinds of changes that can affect how your benefits are assessed. This is why I don't recommend looking at an old payment and assuming the next one will always be exactly the same. And I also wouldn't make the opposite assumption. If you didn't qualify for something a few years ago, that doesn't necessarily mean you won't qualify today. Your situation may be different now. That's why it's worth checking. And there's one part of this that many people overlook: your tax return. Even if your income is very low, filing your taxes can still be important. Your tax information can be used to determine eligibility for certain government benefits and credits. So if you've ever thought, "My income is so low, why would I bother filing?" Don't automatically assume that filing doesn't matter. For some seniors, filing isn't simply about whether they owe taxes. It's also about making sure the government has the information it needs to assess certain benefits and credits. And if you don't file when you're required to, it can potentially affect your benefit payments. So, this is one area where it's worth checking the official rules for your situation. The same goes for changes in your personal life. If you've retired, your income has changed, or your household situation is different, don't assume the government automatically knows every detail. Take a few minutes to review your information. If you're unsure, ask. That's much better than guessing. Because the mistake I don't want you to make is assuming that a payment you've received for years is guaranteed to stay exactly the same forever. Your life changes, your income changes, and sometimes your benefits can change right along with them. Part 3. What to do if your payment is missing or different. Now let's say July 29th comes around. You were expecting a payment. You check your bank account and you don't see what you expected. Or maybe the money is there, but the amount is different. What should you do? First of all, don't panic. Before you assume something serious has happened, check the basics. Start with your official government account. Look at your payment information. Check the expected payment date and see whether the amount shown matches what you were expecting. Then think about your own circumstance. You may find information about the payment or even a message explaining what happened. Now remember, CPP, OAS, and GIS are not all the same program. If one payment changes, don't immediately assume every other benefit has changed too. Look at them separately. And if you still can't figure out what's happening, contact the program responsible for that specific benefit. For CPP, OAS, and GIS, that means Service Canada. For tax-related benefits and credits, it may mean the Canada Revenue Agency. When you contact them, make the conversation easier for yourself. Know which benefit you're asking about. Know the payment date you're concerned about. And if you can, have your recent payment information available. You don't have to become an expert in government programs. You simply need to explain what you're seeing. And one more thing, if something looks wrong, don't ignore it for months, hoping it will somehow sort itself out. Check it. Find out what's happening. A payment that's different doesn't automatically mean you've lost a benefit. Sometimes your circumstances changed. Sometimes the information on file needs to be updated. And sometimes there's simply a question that needs an answer. The important thing is finding out which one it is. Part 4. The one check I want you to make. Now I want to give you one simple thing to do today. It won't take long. Log in to your official government account and actually look through your benefit information. Not just your bank balance, the actual information connected to your benefits. Look at your payment history. look at the benefits you're currently receiving and take a moment to review the information the government has on file for you. Then ask yourself 3 simple questions. What benefits am I receiving right now? What benefits might I qualify for? And has anything in my life changed that could affect my benefits? Maybe you retired. Maybe your income dropped. Maybe your spouse's income changed. Maybe you've moved. Or maybe you've simply never reviewed your information in years. You don't have to figure everything out in one afternoon. Start with one question. Then, if you find something you're unsure about, look into it. That's the important part. Because sometimes the biggest mistake isn't losing a benefit. It's never checking whether you might qualify for one in the first place. And I want to be very clear about something. I'm not telling you there's a secret government payment waiting for everyone. I'm not telling you that every senior is entitled to thousands of dollars. That's simply not realistic. What I am saying is much simpler. If you qualify for a benefit, you should understand what it is. You should know when it's supposed to arrive, and you should know what to do if your circumstances change. That's just good financial housekeeping. Part 5. Benefits worth reviewing. Now let's talk about the benefits people sometimes overlook. And again, I want to be careful here. Not everyone qualifies for every benefit. Eligibility can depend on your age, your income, your marital status, your living situation, and other factors. So don't listen to this list and assume you're automatically eligible. Instead, use it as a reminder to check. If you're receiving OAS, for example, you may also qualify for GIS if you meet the requirements. If your financial situation has changed, it may be worth reviewing whether the information used to assess your benefits still reflects your current circumstances. Then there's your tax return. Are you filing every year? If your income is very low, don't automatically assume there's no reason to file. Your tax information can be important when determining eligibility for certain benefits and credits. If you've fallen behind, find out what you need to do to bring your tax information up to date. Then think about your family situation. Are you married, common law, widowed, separated? Has your spouse's income changed? These details can matter for income-tested benefits. The same goes for retirement. If you've recently stopped working or your income has dropped significantly, it's worth finding out whether that change affects your eligibility for anything. The important word here is check. Don't assume. Don't rely on what your neighbor received. And don't assume that because you didn't qualify 5 years ago, the answer is automatically the same today. Your situation may have changed, and that's exactly why reviewing your benefits from time to time makes sense. Part 6. Bringing it all together. So, let's make this simple. If you're watching this and thinking, David, okay, what am I actually supposed to do? Here's your checklist. Number 1. Know your payment dates. For July 2026, the scheduled payment date for CPP, OAS, and GIS is July 29th. The Canada Groceries and Essentials Benefit has its own payment schedule, with the first payment of the new July 2026 to June 2027 payment period scheduled for July 3rd. Keep those dates separate. They're not the same program. Number 2, know which benefits you're receiving. Is it CPP, OAS, GIS, the Canada Groceries and Essentials Benefit? Take a moment to understand what each one is. They don't all work the same way. Number 3, think about what has changed in your life. Did you retire? Did your income change? Did your marital or household situation change? Did you move? If something significant changed, find out whether it could affect your benefits. Don't guess, check. Number 4, keep your tax information up to date. Even with a low income, don't automatically assume filing your taxes doesn't matter. Your tax information can be used when assessing eligibility for certain benefits and credits. If you're behind, find out what steps you need to take. And finally, number 5, if something doesn't look right, ask. Check your official account first. Review your payment information. And if you still can't find the answer, contact the program responsible for the benefit. You don't need to know every government acronym. You don't need to understand every line of a government letter. You just need to ask the right question. Part 7, the ending. Here's the main thing I want you to take away from today's video. Don't assume that what you received last year is automatically what you'll receive this year. Your life can change. Your income can change. Your family situation can change. And when those things change, it's worth checking whether your benefits need to be reviewed as well. Government programs can be confusing. The letters can be difficult to understand. And sometimes, even a simple question can feel like a complicated process. But you don't have to be embarrassed about asking. If you don't understand an acronym, ask. If you don't understand why your payment changed, ask. If you're not sure whether you qualify for something, ask. That's what these programs are there for. So remember, the 2 July dates we talked about. July 3rd for the first Canada Groceries and Essentials Benefit payment of the new payment period, and July 29th for the scheduled CPP, OAS, and GIS payment. Remember that the GST/HST credit has been replaced by the Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit, and that the benefit amount increased by 25% for 5 years beginning in July 2026, according to the information covered in this update. And most importantly, don't just look at your bank account. Take a few minutes to understand the benefits you're receiving and review whether anything in your life has changed. That's the part that can make a real difference. I'm David, your financial translator. If this video helped make your July benefits a little easier to understand, subscribe to the channel. I'll keep breaking down payment dates, government benefits, and the changes that matter to Canadian seniors in plain English, without the confusing jargon and without making you feel like you need a law degree just to understand your own money. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.